What's happening, good people? We are here to record Macro Dirt Podcast number 49 with my man, the Baron of Baby Fat, Jared Dillian.
What's up, my little pony?
I'm going to come after you every week, man. Every week.
Hey, can we jump in on the fat thing for a second?
Let's go.
So, you know that company Hims you see commercials for? Hims, you ever heard of Hims?
Negative.
It's basically like an online drug concierge where you can get like ED meds and hair loss meds and stuff like that. But they sell compounded GLP-1s. So you can get compounded Ozempic, compounded Mounjaro, and they sell it at like a fraction of the price that you would have to pay.
These are weight loss drugs. I'm in the dark here. Okay.
Yeah. So if you got to pay like $1,000 a month for Ozempic, they sell it for like $200 a month.
Oh, I see. How do they get away with that?
It's kind of so basically the FDA allows compounded branded drugs when there is a shortage, right? And there's a huge shortage of the weight loss drugs right now. So they're allowed to sell compounded versions of it.
Oh, wow.
So,
very cool. Interesting.
Yep.
All right. So I got a question for you here for Macro Dirt Podcast number 49. Then we'll quickly get into markets, right?
Yep.
You've got one inning to close out to win the World Series. Which number 49 are you putting in to pitch? Number 1, Tim Wakefield. Number 2, Hoyt Wilhelm. Number 3, Ron Louisiana Lightning Guidry. One inning to close it out.
Ron Guidry.
Without a doubt, dude,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, Louisiana Lightning is the best of those three pitchers.
What was that season he had? It was like 1977 or 78. He was like 27-3 with like a 1-something ERA or something.
He was
like
the wins leader and ERA leader and got a Gold Glove is what he did in 1978. So that wasn't too bad.
And he was a little guy. He was like 5'10".
5'10", 175 pounds, soaking wet. You just threw gas though, right? Like, you were going, you like literally, you're like, oh, he's set up for fastball here. The batter knows it. I wonder if he's going to get away. Gas it right by him. And the bat, strike 3, called strike. You're out walking back to the bench. That was his claim to fame, though, was the Louisiana Lightning.
By the way, what was Dave Righetti's number? Do you know?
19, I want to say.
19.
Let's look it up while we got it right here.
Dave Righetti was the man. He was a saves leader for a little while. He got 46 saves, I think, in like 1983 or something like that.
56. I was way off. Wow, we won Lawrence
56.
Taylor's number.
So we got to do Dave Righetti when we get to episode 56.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll remember to focus. We could do Dave Righetti and LT. That'd be tremendous. Yep. All right, let's get into the markets. The thing that's topical on my mind is that the market is shrugging off all of the escalation of violence in Russia, Ukraine, and Elon Musk is going around being a walking gold commercial. That's like those are the vibes I'm getting from the market right now. How about you, JD?
So I read a really interesting piece about what Ukraine did in Russia when they blew up the bombers.
Yeah.
Do you know who Noah Smith is? Have you heard of Noah Smith? He's No Opinion on Twitter, and I disagree with him on a lot of stuff, but he's a smart guy. And he wrote a piece about the drones that Ukraine used. He's like, basically, the title of the piece was like, China is going to attack the U.S. with drones eventually. These drones that Ukraine used are like $500. They're tiny little drones. Like the U.S. has drones, but they're like $22 million drones. They're like, 12-foot drones. They use these tiny little ones. And basically what they did was they drove them into Russia like in a container and slid the roof off, and they all came out and blew up the bombers. Like, dude, think about that. China parks ships in LA Long Beach all the time with all these containers. Like, how do you defend against that?
I was just going to say, there's no defense. How are you going to prepare for it? Number one, God forbid it happens. Number two, what do you do? Like, what's the defense against that? I have no effing idea. So that's bleak. That's what I mean, right? Like that. There's some kind of an escalation going on in the cosmos, and the VIX is like at 18, at 17 and a half, at 17, right? Like that's what we're heading for into the weekend. You can blow the S&P through 6K right now. is the way that I feel on the upside. Like we pounded the downside last week. We came back. We're being led across the board. There's technology on the top of the leaderboard. There's cyclicals. There are natural resources at the top of the leaderboard. And
Dude, today's Wednesday. We're
yeah,
recording on Wednesday.
yeah,
ADP was a bag of shit.
yep,
ISM was a bag of shit, and stocks are up. Stocks
right,
are up.
right. Because why? Bonds are up. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that correlation to me is like the stock market, or rather, markets are waiting to get a feel on the economy. What we're going to have is a good back and forth, like a pre-recessionary, slower growth back and forth in the data. We're going to have mean reversion in the bond market. We're going to have mean reversion in the dollar, and the stock market's going to blow through 6K, and everybody's going to have to, the last of the shorts are going to have to cover. I just saw a graphic, a great graphic this morning, JD. The markets are least invested in Mag 7 stocks than they have been in like 20 years. You know what I mean? So like we just need a couple of things to go right for the world
Dude,
to say
the Apple chart is death. It's an ugly chart. Pull up that chart. That is an ugly chart.
we'll make sure we pull that up on the screen here for the readers, but I couldn't agree more. I mean, making lower highs without remorse, and until that thing, 204 last, unless it gets back up above 225, for me, it's still a sale. So I agree that trend has changed. This is why I'm trying not to be shocked at Mag 7 backing off, because we're in regime change, right? We're trading through regime change no matter what. So it shouldn't shock us that the strongest sectors and stocks of the last 10 years will not be for the next 10. So I guess this is the beginning of that adjustment, I would say. You're bullish silver still, are you, JD? I saw a couple of tweets by you that actually a tweet that just said silver. So I assume that you're long silver.
We're gonna be I mean, we're gonna break through 35. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. It might not be this week, it might be next month, a month after that, but we're gonna break through 35. And then we are going to run like an antelope.
Out of control. Nothing would be better for me. I mean, I'm long gold. I'm long gold miners. We're long Bitcoin on the Navigator now. All the store of value trades that I'm calling. So that would be fine. I'm going to still argue, like I have been until I'm blue in the face, that silver is a base metal, and you can't really get long silver for a rally unless there's a great story for base metals to rally. So I hope that you make money. I'm literally a positionless piker here on the sidelines. So my opinion is worth nothing at the moment, but I'm loaded to gills with stocks, and it feels really good right now. I'll tell you that.
Price action is good.
Yeah, it feels like if I were in the ring right now, I'd be like taking all the 6K offers and just seeing if I can get it to go 6K bid. Because it feels like one of those breakouts. Like that's been the top of the range, and it's like on the other side of that, you're going to see some big boys throwing in the towel, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's how I'm looking at things.
We're going to talk about Elon Musk.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me your spin. I got mine, and I want to hear what you think.
So Elon Musk tweeted that I think he said the big beautiful bill was like a disgusting abomination or something like that.
Yep.
Here's the thing with Elon Musk. The liberals think he's a Nazi, right? 10 years ago, the conservatives thought he was a liberal. People have called him all kinds of different things over the years. Here's my theory, okay? Yeah. He's just a fucking good guy. He just wants to do the right thing. He really does. He's like at no point in the last 12 months, even when he was supporting Trump, has he called himself a Republican. He wanted to see government smaller, right? Mm-hmm. And if Trump and the Republicans aren't doing it, he's going to call them out.
Yeah, that's what I love about him. He's like, look, if you guys, went against the American people on this bill here, you're going to get primaried in November. Right. And I'm going to help. Right. So you know what that means, man. He is going to be tweeting his ass off and using all of his resources and his power to make them all look like shit. And whether it's right or wrong or not, I like that view, because you can be down the middle and just think that Elon is just trying to be a good guy and do the right thing. Like it's not a coincidence. It looks to me like they're kind of nudging him out of the Doge operation. It could be because maybe he takes a little too much ketamine, than a little more than microdosing sometimes, because it looks like they've got the goods on him, tripping balls in the White House. You could imagine Trump looking him in the eye and going, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" You know what I mean? And like just not standing for that. And so now he's out on the Doge thing. I think Doge was unfortunately a tremendous failure.
Well,
You know what I
here's
mean?
the thing: the guy that's taking over Doge is a guy named Russ Vought.
Okay.
And Russ Vought is also a serious guy. Like
Okay.
you might see Doge pick up steam again. So we'll see. So
Well, that'd be great. But let's get, our point that we want to make, you and I, is that, this to me is headline tailwinds for gold and Bitcoin.
oh
When
my
Elon,
God, yeah.
right? When
Yeah.
Elon Musk is tweeting, this immense level of spending will drive America into debt slavery, and quote tweeting Geiger Capital, who is talking about the national debt with a 60 Minutes clip of Jerome Powell, like Musk is swinging from the fences. Then he posts our annual budget deficit that's going to be over 2 trillion a year, and he says interest payments already consume 25% of all government revenue. If the massive deficit spending continues, there will only be money for interest payments and nothing else. So I love that we've got a guy that just saved free speech coming after the runaway deficit. Like,
Dude,
and I,
whatever it takes to get people to care about the deficit, I am all for. Because
yeah,
most people don't care. They're like, why do I care about the deficit? How does it affect my life?
yeah,
Like news flash to you. If we did not have this deficit, your mortgage would be 5.5% instead of 7.5%, right?
dude.
Like,
I couldn't agree more. If we didn't have this deficit, I'll take it one further and say your carton of eggs wouldn't be $7 right now. It would still be $1.99. You know what I mean? Like, how are we paying for the deficit? We're printing money left and right? We're just fucking spending money that we don't have, and we don't care anymore because we've got this mechanism, and people like, it's like, oh, where did all this inflation come from? And, you just still want to grab people and be like, we doubled the balance sheet in 2020. It's still filtering out on the screens. I'm sorry. And at the grocery store, without a doubt. So this stuff is hairy.
dude,
And
you want to hear a good one?
yeah.
So I was in Vegas. I just got to jump in about the Vegas trip.
Let's
So
go. Oh, I want to hear about that. Yeah, I was going to keep that off market to hear about girls in bikinis at the club.
but
But go ahead. We'll talk about it now.
so I DJ'd in Vegas. I DJ'd at the Palm Tree Beach Club. I was the opening DJ. I killed it. They want to have me back. They're talking about maybe having me back to open for Tiesto. Like, it's incredible. But anyway, I was in the MGM Grand. I was actually sick. I had a cold. And I'm like, I don't want to go out to dinner. I just want to grab a bag of chips and a bottle of water and go up to my room. So I bought a bag of Doritos, like a medium-sized bag, not a big bag, like a medium-sized bag. Guess how much?
$6.
$15.
What? Wait, was it with a straight face, right? You throw the bag of Doritos up there. The girl's like, that'll be 15. Yeah, Vegas will do that to you. Vegas will do that to you. And at my point, at that point, I'd rather pay $200 for the steak than 15 for the bag of Doritos. Quite honestly, man. One final question. Don't get mad at me. Who's Tiesto?
I won't get mad at you. Tiesto is probably the most famous DJ of all time.
Get out of here. For real?
Yeah,
No, I mean more
yeah.
than Avicii. I like you say DJ and I say Avicii,
Well,
and I feel like everybody knows.
Avicii had a short career. Tiesto really got famous in 2004 because he DJ'd the opening ceremonies of the Athens Olympics.
Oh,
And
wow.
if you can go on YouTube and find the clip of him DJing the opening ceremonies, it's incredible.
Oh, that must
But
be cool.
he started out as a trance DJ in the 90s. He's about my age. He's about like 50 or something like that. The guy is, I mean, he's in Cooperstown. He's the all-time greatest.
Oh, very cool. So, I mean, that would be like a dream come true for you to perform. I'll tell you what, man. I mean, I will look into seeing if I can be there, because I'm still dying to go back to Las Vegas. I'm itching to sit at the table and play cards for 12 hours without stopping, to tell you the truth. I'm getting tired of stock trading right now. It's exhausting. I tell you, it's been tough. It's been you know about my year last year that was tremendously successful, knock on wood, and in the view matrix we're crushing it again this year, but I've got a lot of risk on, so it's been, and my book is matched to that, so it's like it hasn't been a quiet summer. But what's cool about it, JD, and you'll experience this when you've got the trades on and you're looking at them in your account and you've got a living, breathing, kind of sign of what's going on in the markets, you feel really in touch with what's going on.
Oh yeah, there's times you're like plugged into the matrix.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel. I've got so much risk on that I turn on the screens first thing in the morning and everything kind of filters into my head like immediately, like, okay, I'm good here today. You know what I mean? Like that's the first thing that your brain tells you.
I'm actually kind of out of it right now. I'm not feeling that connected. I'm not.
No,
I was like 3 months ago, but like now I'm not. So
dude, I appreciate that because you're a trader. You talked about it last week. You're like, guys, it's okay to have no opinions.
Yep.
It's okay to have no positions. It's okay to be a spectator with a big giant popcorn. And while we're on the topic, even as good a year as I had last year, if I look back and say that if I would have traded a little bit less, I would have done better. And so it was a little bit of one of those that I'm trying to keep that in mind now and kind of balance it all out. So I've got a lot of risk on. I'm kind of sitting with it, trying to just let things play out because I'm telling you, man, when we break through 6K, this thing's going to run 300 S&P points. But back to off markets. I love that you got the DJ gig in Vegas. I want to talk about one other thing because something struck me. So I want to ask you a question. Is there any piece of content that you've consumed recently, book, podcast, article, that's really blown your hair back, that you've been like, wow, that was really cool and interesting?
Yeah, so I read a lot of short stories, a lot of literary fiction, and my favorite writer is Barry Hannah, and a couple people have been recommending to me I read Raymond Carver, and I'm like, okay. So one of my friends sent me one of his books, a short story collection. It's called What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. And I read this and I'm like, holy shit, it is so freaking good. It is really, really good. His writing style is very sparse. Like a short story may be like 2,000 words. They're very short. They're very sparse.
Oh, I love
but
that.
there is so much in there. Like every word counts. And it's, if anybody's watching this or listening to this and you're like, what should I read next? Read some Raymond Carver. He has two big short story collections. So one of them is called What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, and the other one is Cathedral. They're both incredible. So,
Raymond Carver, man, I got it on the list. I love the sound of like a minimalist writer.
Yeah, minimalist.
Like that, because that's hard, as you know, and as I know, somebody that pounds out 1,000 words a day, it's like, that's the definition of, sorry, I wrote you a long letter. I didn't have time to write you a short one.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of time to put into things to whittle the words out of a story and keep the storyline, but that it makes them all that much better. So anyway, I'm going to throw a nod. I mean, and this is the basic down the middle one that you would probably not be surprised by me, is that the Joe Rogan interview podcast with Bono was really good for me. Right.
Is this recent?
Yeah. I get alerts on Rogan podcast because I listen to almost every one of them. But when I see Bono or when I see somebody that I like, I drop everything that I'm doing and I hit listen. I love being like the first one to listen. So this was just a couple of days ago. He's interviewing Bono and it was a good back and forth. Bono, I'm very mixed on because I absolutely worship him as a lead singer and band leader, worship him as leader of U2, and obviously have conflicting political views, right? Because he's essentially a World Economic Forum guy, and stands for all the things that they stand for. But listening to him with Rogan, I got like a sense that, I don't know, that he wasn't as much compromised by money as his heart is really behind what he thinks, so that was kind of relief to me, not thinking that he's as much of a bought and paid for entertainer as it is his heart speaking actually. And then, man, go ahead. What were you going to say? I can see you like hanging on something. What were you going to say? I want to hear your opinion. Tell me.
So do you remember in like the early 2000s when Bush was president and his Treasury Secretary was Paul O'Neill, who was the CEO of Alcoa?
Yes.
And Bono and Paul O'Neill were like buddies and they were flying to Africa and Bono is trying to get Paul O'Neill to open up the pocketbook to like give aid to Africa. And there was a quote from Bono like 2 decades later where he's like, you know what? That was actually misguided. He's like, what these poor countries need is investment in free markets. Like they want investment. They're like, they actually don't want aid. The aid is counterproductive.
Mm.
You know, I wish I could find that quote. I actually put it in the Dirt Nap a couple years ago, but you know, Bono has kind of come full circle on some of this stuff.
Yeah,
So.
agreed. And I've already been through the stages of being at his concerts and seeing all of the woke stuff come up in the visuals at U2 shows that you see. And you're like, oh God, here we go. But you got to kind of have to look past that because the band is so goddamn good. You know what else I gave him a lot of credit for? I gave him credit for realizing and giving Joe Rogan credit for being a great listener. Right? Like Joe Rogan should get a statue erected to him for being the world's greatest listener. I mean, he has every Tom, Dick, and Harry under the sun on and talks to them for 3 hours. You know what I mean? So he is definitely in the Hall of Fame listener. And then Rogan, because this is why he's so great, and this is why the combo is so electric of Rogan and Bono. He's like, hey, remember when you guys were on that late night show and you did Ordinary Love, and he shows the clip, right? And I had never seen it. And Ordinary Love is kind of a middle of the road U2 song for me, but a very good song. And the version that they did on, I think it was Jimmy Fallon, the band is sitting there on the show like they're guests, and they just start performing the song. So Bono starts singing it like dialed in right from the beginning. The Edge starts playing it on acoustic. Clayton starts playing it. And they just build into the song, and it was unbelievable. And Rogan's like, dude, that is like my favorite live performance on a late night show ever. And when you watch that, Roots, the band, joins in. Bono stands up and he's belting the song out. Like there is so much free energy there that it was just astounding. And you don't get that many great feelings like that from a podcast. So I thought it was really cool that they pulled that off. That's like nice to have some uplifting content, for a change. So that's a good podcast. If you haven't listened to that, check it out, especially if you're a fan of those two guys. Oh, and the best part, Rogan keeps it all down the middle. This is why the guy deserves a freaking medal. He keeps it so down the middle that when Bono sticks his foot in his mouth and says, oh, do you see that they've cut the U.S. aid money? And do you know 300,000 people have died because of that? Right? And Rogan's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on a minute. He's like, okay, so I just had Elon Musk on. He was on the inside of that. And he basically said that if it were a listed company, they would delist the stock and throw all the officers in jail. Right? And Bono was like, oh, well, and they kind of smoothed it over really, really nicely. But it was just a nice way to see two monsters totally disagree.
Yeah.
And like Rogan was like, no, we're not having that 300,000 people dead, bullshit on my show. So it's really cool and worth listening to. And I tell you, I'm going to go read some of Raymond Carver. Is it today? Great finish. Anything we left out today, JD? Rule number 62, success and spirituality.
Comes out June 24th. You can pre-order the Kindle now.
Oh,
but this comes out June 24th.
Very cool. Yeah. I am going to read that. I'm excited to read that. And I'm going to tell you that we have got our next podcast is Macro Dirt number 50. We have got a banger of a guest, as you know, to come on, which I'm totally excited for because it jives with your success and spirituality book right down the middle, man. So we are going to hash it out with a monster whale of a guest next week. We are going to record Thursday and we're going to launch it Friday. And hopefully everybody in the world is going to listen to the Macro Dirt podcast and subscribe to our 50th episode.
Yep.
Sounds like a plan, right?
We've been doing this almost a year.
Fucking A, man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good work. That's a good ending, man. Hasta la vagina, everybody.
Hasta la vagina.